Thanks for staying with NTV Today. My name is Trevor Ombija. Here's what you need to know at this hour. Acting Interior CS Fred Matiang'i is set to meet the National Council of Churches of Kenya on the next week's elections. NTV Sheila Sindeo has been at the venue of the meeting, where it's in Limuru at the Jumuiya Conference Center, and she joins us live. Sheila, what's the latest from where you are?
Well, we understand that the Interior Cabinet Secretary is set to come and address the extraordinary executive committee meeting of the NCCK, and they're just meeting in these dying days before the election, just to iron out some of the important issues ahead of the election. How prepared is the country, and just to see what areas they can contribute in whatever ways they can as the church. And joining me now on set is the Secretary General of the NCCK, Reverend Canon Peter Karanja. Thank you so much for being with us here on NTV. Maybe just give us an overview of what this meeting is really about.
Yes, as I've said, this is a meeting of the Executive Committee of the National Council of Churches of Kenya. It's an extraordinary meeting called specifically to address concerns around the national elections. The church is very keen that we have a peaceful, free, fair and credible election, and whereas the agencies responsible for the elections will be expected to play the roles that they must, ordinary Kenyans must play their role, and the religious leaders have a role to play. And so we have for the next 2 days, ending tomorrow, reflecting on what is the state of the nation, what are the concerns relating to the elections, what insights do we have that they can apply as they go back to their own churches and their flocks, and what message do we have for Kenyans?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We were expecting the Internal Cabinet Secretary, acting Fred Matiang'i, to come and address you. What issues will you be raising with him?
We may not confirm at this stage whether he will come or not, but our conversation with his office is that they will definitely send a representative if he doesn't come. Again, the concern for the NCCK is that because the CS for Interior and National Coordination is responsible for ensuring that the country is safe, my people would like a reassurance that the government is prepared for this election, to secure it during the election and after, and what measures have been put in place, and also have an opportunity to communicate any concerns they may have, because where they live, they're able to pick up a lot of stuff that can be addressed. We also have invited the IBC. We had hoped that the chairman himself would come. We are still in discussion. He may send a representative, again just for the church to be reassured. Is IBC ready to mount a free, fair and credible election? We've already prayed for the IBC in light of the loss of Chris, who passed on by a heinous act of murder. Notwithstanding, is IBC still able to discharge its mandate as provided for in law? And we are hoping that someone will come.
On that point, and given everything that has been going on, it seems like it's a build-up, and everyone is pretty much on edge with this very few days to go to the election. From your standpoint as a church, what is your message to the country moving forward?
I think we can only ask Kenyans to be peaceful and calm. I think the election is a very major national event that should not be subjected to diversionary activities, and it's very, very sad that this event happened. We believe that the IBC has a capacity to mount the election as planned, and we ask Kenyans to give them all the support that they require. It is natural for people to speculate and ask who would have a reason to kill an official and a staff member of IBC. I think that is really a subject for police investigation, and we do desire that in a short time the culprits can be brought to book and Kenyans can know what really happened.
Finally, very quickly before I let you go, in 2007 the church faced a number of accusations that you weren't very vocal in terms of, bringing the country together and preaching peace. This time around, how are you getting back on the front foot?
Well, I represent only a section of the church, the NCCK. There are other groups and structures that also engage. I think Kenyans this year should commend the church. The church played a very major role in brokering peace and understanding between CORD then, which now is NASA, and Jubilee when they couldn't agree about IEBC, and we've walked alongside this process. Part of the reason for gathering here is also for the same reason. We want to feel that the church is doing everything in its power to ensure that we have a peaceful election. The agencies must ensure that it is free, fair, and credible. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much for speaking with us. That was Secretary General of the NCCK, Reverend Canon Peter Karanja, on some of the measures that the church as an institution and as a body has put in place ahead of the election and what contributions they can give to the country and to all the stakeholders involved in this process moving forward with just a few days left to the election, Trevor.
Thanks, Sheila. That's Sheila Sendeyo speaking to us from Jumuiya Conference Center, that's in Limuru, where the acting Interior Cabinet Secretary is meant to meet the NCCK leaders. And civil society actors are among a group of Kenyans who have this morning staged a protest walk calling for a speedy probe into the death of IBC ICT manager Chris Msando. Enoch Sikole joins us live. We were just speaking to him earlier on from the Anniversary Towers. He's joining me again. Enoch, what stood out for you in that press briefing?
Thank you, Trevor. Indeed, what has come out clear here is that the IBC chairman, Wafula Chebukati, has made it clear, has maintained that the system, the IEBC system, will not be tampered with and is secure, even with the perception that probably the torture of Chris Msando maybe could have led to some loopholes to the system, but he maintains that the password to the system are yet to be given to IEBC personnel that still with the operators or the operators of the server, so it's secure according to the IEBC chairman. Remember the perception that has been on the social media platform and many other platforms is that actually the IEBC system could have been tampered with, could have been rendered insecure given the torture that Chris Msando was rendered to before he was murdered. So actually that is what has stood up here from this press conference, or from this address to members of the civil society by the IEBC chairman. Remember, the civil society has been here to stand with in solidarity with the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, maintaining that if there's a perception that Chris Msando was murdered in relation to the elections, then that amounts to the intimidation of IEBC commissioners, IEBC staff, and IEBC, let's say especially members of the crucial departments in IEBC, especially the ICT department. And remember, the IEBC chairman has just said that the Chris Msando was working on developing a system for the results transmission on the eve of his murder, and actually they were trying to test the transmission of results, how it will be done. So, but he has maintained that the things will be in order. There are staff who have been trained and those who are capable of handling the transmission of results, handling the election in the ICT department. So he says, though they are mourning, that Kenyans should not be worried. Things are okay within the system, and the system is secure. Trevor.
Enoch. That's Enoch Sikole speaking to us from the Anniversary Towers, where civil society has just met the IEBC, and they were assuring Kenyans that the 8th August elections will be free and fair. Speaking of which, the National Super Alliance now says the credibility of the August 8th polls may have been compromised with the murder of one of the heads at the ICT department of the IEBC. According to a statement read on behalf of the coalition by one of its principals, Musalia Mudavadi, the murder may have been aimed at having access to crucial information with regards to ICT plans for the elections. The alliance now demands that an international body oversees the elections.
If indeed there's nothing to hide, and the IEBC wants to restore some level of credibility in this process, they should not try and operate a closed-door system in this scenario. And here we are saying that having a situation where an international expert within the framework of the Commonwealth or the UN being there to stand by and also see what is happening so that they can assure Kenyans that there has been no interference would be very, very important. What we want at the end of the day is an election that will receive acceptance by the Kenyan people and in the international community.
It is becoming a trend with the police to give information to certain in the country.